Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, the Red Raiders made progress in finding success away from Jones Stadium a season ago. How they keep that going this time around, beginning in Salt Lake City on Saturday. Next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks, as always, for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet only $5. And if your bet wins, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan, continuing to look ahead to Saturday morning from Salt Lake City. It's Red Raiders and Utes for a top 20 Big 12 opening collision. And as we continue to look ahead to that matchup, Chris, we'll get to a couple of different things on today's episode. One spurred on by a Matador Mob question asking about naming one of the most vital Red Raider defender whenever it comes to the efforts we've been talking about over the last couple of days containing that Utah ground game and more. We'll get to that coming up in just a moment. Also want to get to some matchups really on either side of the ball as we focus so much in on the trenches this week, and deservedly so. Talked a lot about offensive tackles, O-line, D-line, pass rush, etc. Maybe what are we overlooking as far as some matchups that are of note? And, of course, to kick off the conversation in general, we're all thinking about hitting the road again. Red Raiders last year under Joey McGuire, Chris, I feel like did get over the hump to a degree. It was your first winning record on the road of the McGuire era. You've had some things to bounce back from early season on the road and otherwise in the first couple of seasons. Still not overall a winning record, but I kind of felt like you made some progress away from Jones Stadium last year. You were there for all of it. So what did you see playing out that was maybe a little bit friendlier to Texas Tech last season compared to the first 2 years?
Yeah, I think the Iowa State game was a pivotal moment in your season. I think that was a big boy win against an undefeated team, close to a top 10 team at the time. And you didn't exactly play your best, and yet still figured out a way to win it at the end. And I think that I guess I don't have – we'll find out this year, but I don't have because you're just going to have to if you want to go win a championship or play for one. But I don't have the same thoughts that we maybe had a year or so ago when it's like, okay, man, this winning on the road is becoming a bit of an issue. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. I mean, the TCU game, you played really well. You were up in that game, and you can blame bad defense, a fumble by a quarterback, or the fact that the opposition was listening into everything you were doing, or supposedly or rumored to be so.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. Yeah, allegedly. Yeah, who knows? But you played well for. I mean, you were up. What was it, like 31-14, or I think, is that right? With 6 and change to go in the third quarter.
Oh, I don't want to get lost in those details.
I know.
I forgot about all that.
I know, but I think large in part, I think you've been able to do your part on the road and those kinds of things. This season's going to really test that, or really it's just, this is like, there's no plan B. You have to go be really good on the road. You just can't get to where you want to go without doing so. That's just all there is to it. And you don't have to be perfect. Like, that's what I'm just not. And I would caution people, I don't care what it looks like. As long as you score half a point more than the other team in any of these games, it doesn't matter. There's going to be times where you don't play your best, but can you still figure out a way to win? And I think that in some ways that game versus Iowa State was kind of like that, especially on offense. It was kind of a grind, if you will. This one in Salt Lake may be this way. The trip to Tempe may be this way. The one to Manhattan may be this way. Heck, the one in Houston or Morgantown may be this way. We just don't know exactly what all these teams are going to be, but you just know darn well that some of these are going to be a grind, whether it's elements, the opposition, you're beat up, who knows? But I think, and Joey's talked about this being this year's version being a much older and more mature team.
I mean, is that really the key ingredient? I feel like that's some of what you were leaning on last year to get you through some of those journeys away from Lubbock.
Yeah, and he has gone out of his way to say that the emotional maturity of this particular group is different than what he's ever had before. Really around some of the Baylor teams, I think. This is an older team, a lot of experience. This is what they acquired in the portal. I mean, these weren't, hey, man, let's go take somebody's big-time recruit that just hasn't played much elsewhere and bring them in here and roll the dice. No, these were all very productive 2 or 3 year starters or all conference types wherever they came from. And so they've played on the road. They're older. They're either married or whatever. I mean, they've got the whole thing going, and that's why it's a bit of a different dynamic. But how you feel, how you think it is, will all be tested. And do they pass that test? Or, I mean, again, it's all about dealing with adversity. And do you flinch? Do you not panic? Do you panic? I don't know. We will find out together starting Saturday.
So we're talking more about the identity of the team, regardless of the location, whenever they hit the road. But I am curious, too, about what Salt Lake City will have to offer. And Rice, with all due respect to Bryce Eccles Stadium, as the Red Raiders visit for the first time, certainly in my lifetime, the Big 12's 7th largest facility. Don't do it exactly like they do in Provo for whatever reason in Salt Lake City. I don't know, just probably lost in the math somewhere. You'll find the Big 12's largest stadium in Provo. Ames, Lubbock, I think next on the list. This one right there in the gooey middle. But Chris's Tech fans who have gotten wet and wild and western in a 50,000 seat stadium many times before, we know it's not all about the numbers. As far as seats, it can include a whole lot more than that provides an advantage. So I'm curious to see what they've got to offer, because there's certainly been a lot of talk about it.
Yeah, and I think it's just it's like disrespectful to the league to act like this is some standalone. I'm sure it is a difficult place to play. That part I don't disagree with, but so is Ames, so is Stillwater when they're good, so is Manhattan, so is Morgantown. Obviously Lubbock has got its own thing going, and obviously I've been to BYU, very difficult place to play. So that's what I just was like, okay, and I'm sure it is difficult, but there's a lot of places in this league where it's a tough out when you go in. But it doesn't matter where the venue is. Early morning vibes are just different than evening or late night vibes. It's just the facts. Doesn't matter how much you try and replicate it and all the things when you have 1 or 10 of your favorite beverages versus if you're just like, man, I just woke up and here
nice
we go.
Pulp-free OJ.
Yeah,
with a little vodka.
That's right. Yeah, I'm a fan of the pulp free. I don't like that. I don't like the crap floating in my juice. Strain it, damn it. So yeah. And we'll see. And again, I'm not disputing that it's not a tough place to play, but
I think the team, you'd agree, has had a lot to do with that over the years, probably.
Yes, and teams play better at home.
Yeah,
just like you're talking about Texas Tech, because there was a time when you're putting the same amount of folks in there and you want to get all excited and then you get beat at home. Guess what? Your team wasn't very good there for a bit.
Oh, yeah. We had the cool intersection of expanding the stadium significantly for the first time in a long time while also kneecapping the program competitively for a decade.
Yeah.
And that's something that actually has been encouraging about the fan base. The numbers have just continued to grow. In one of the worst achieving decades in your program's history. So, boy, when you put it together, what fun it could be. But remember that, Chris? Let's open up a 60,000er, and then whoops, there goes the head coach.
Yeah, no, I
tough road to hoe, but we've been hoeing it.
Yeah.
So look, the team oftentimes make the environment as opposed to the inverse, because there have been some great environments that did not necessarily add up to more points on the scoreboard. But this should be one of the best the Big 12 has to offer because of the passion around the program and how good their teams have typically been competitively. So I hope they can live up to that because the conference needs that, obviously, as you lose some massive venues, even though we are talking about a teacup and wine and cheese crowd in one instance down in Austin. But there's no replacing those numbers like what walks out the door in Norman or in Austin or previously in Lincoln, Nebraska or College Station. So you need some of those full-throated type of vibes. 10 a.m., 10 p.m., whatever, up or down, in or out, relevancy-wise, we need that in the Big 12 Conference. So I hope this will make for a great one coming up on Saturday morning. And when it is great, Chris, you know that from being on the sidelines. Anybody knows it that's ever stepped on a field or court of competition on the road. When it is that good, it's all the more enjoyable when you shut them up.
And there's a couple of folks, at least, that have played in this stadium and have coached in this stadium, some on the Utah sideline. Kenny Perry spent some years on the Utah staff years ago. David Bailey has played. David Bailey flat out was like, I had some things said to me and thrown at me or my teammates. And he goes, it's interesting there. I was like, okay, all right, but this is a lot like the way people talk about Lubbock or some of these other places too. So who knows? I'll look out for batteries and all the rumored stuff that supposedly gets thrown in Lubbock. But maybe this is when the Texas Tech fans need to bring the tortillas on the road and aim for the 50-yard line and put the Utah logo on it and be like, I don't know where that came from. If they're really going to start throwing flags and penalizing the home team, I don't know.
Wow, you've heard the call, Red Raider fans. Do your part. Wish we had a siren to play right here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Mount up. All right, Chris, between the lines, non-tortilla related. We've been talking a ton about the trenches, deservedly so. That's still what determines winners and losers. College football Saturdays, professional football Sundays. But I am curious about maybe something we could be overlooking, whether it's a matchup position group wise or a phase of the game for either team. What do you think maybe we haven't discussed enough this week? First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered, and it's quick, easy, and secure every time. Ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
The headline of this thing, and there's a lot of talk out there about O-line, D-line as it relates to Utah's offensive line and Texas Tech's defensive line. I mean, aren't we – may the game be decided with the inverse of that? I mean, like nobody's really. I mean, maybe people like us are, and we're certainly going to do that now. But I mean, I think that the opposite of that really. I mean, how is Texas Tech's offensive line, versus what Utah has up front? And there's been, one of Utah's best defensive linemen hasn't played neither one of the first two games. Don't know if he will play on Saturday or not. We'll find out with these injury reports as they come out this week. And as we get closer, because I think there's like I think the whole format was like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then 90 minutes before the game. So there's really no hiding from that. And the league will be the one that sends that out. And then at the end of the day, is this not, can you run it when you want to versus can they throw it when they want to?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we in the simplest terms, maybe that's what's it. Because I can sit here and tell you, hey man, it's going to come down to which quarterback plays the best. I do think the altitude thing that I've heard people talk about, you pointed this out, that is a non-factor. That there's no, I mean. I did the Laramie, Wyoming thing, and you pointed it out that there's like 1,000 feet difference or something between Lubbock and Salt Lake. But yeah, I don't. The altitude thing is a non-factor. Maybe the 10 a.m. local time kick is a non-factor. And it'll
wait, let's talk body clock. Almost the whole week's gotten by me without talking body clock.
Exactly. Yeah. So those have been talked about in some cases, but I just think but I do think that what you've got going up front on offense versus what they've got going on defense is because they're going to blitz you, they're going to zero pressure you, they're going to do some different things at different times to try to get in your business and confuse Baron Morton. And so a lot's on his shoulders in this game. This is a really good defensive coordinator. And you're going to see stuff that you haven't seen yet this year, or maybe that he hasn't seen much in his career yet. But I mean, this is why you study, and this is why you prepare all week to be prepared for some of these things. And that's also why I'm glad, for as much as Oregon State didn't do or didn't show you or didn't test you in some ways, their third down defense was very good. And I think there was a healthy respect from the Texas Tech coaching staff for what Oregon State does on third downs, because they came into last week, they only allowing like 3 of 21. And it's because they have this very unique third down scheme where they show you a lot, maybe blitz heavy or doing some different things. And so I think that was good to kind of have that under your belt just for your offensive line and Barron, if anything. But are we talking enough about, we have mentioned that your kicking situation is interesting because who's going to take them? Neither guy has really flinched. I think that they will continue into this week with allowing both guys to participate. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I think until somebody flinches, this is how they're going to continue to roll. Utah's kicker, though, however, freshman kicker, he was 1 of 4 last Saturday, I should say. In a close game, which this very well could be, worth pointing that out.
1 of 4 kicking. Okay, like not hitting a baseball, that's not that bad, but kicking 25%. You're saying?
I'm saying he was
interesting.
Yeah, 1 was blocked, 2 were missed.
Oh.
Yeah, and he was 1 of 4. So
I'd be a little worried about that if that was our guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's in the 40s, but the games in the conference last year was like 42, 44% were 1-score games, 8 points or fewer. Well, in those kinds of games, so close to half of them, you need the points when you got them in your back pocket. And that's what made that game so close against Wyoming last week going overtime, because they couldn't finish drives. They were having to settle for field goals, and they were missing them. So Wyoming hung around a little bit. So anyway, I point that out.
Yeah, I think worth pointing out, and I'm really probably trying to make myself feel a little bit better about us heading back into Big 12 play again, doing this delicate dance of a rotating cast of legs. I only like to see that typically in Vegas. But as far as field goal kicking is concerned, last year you survived it. I think eventually you did have a little bit of separation. I think we saw in some clutch moments a decision made, and I'll be curious to see how long that plays out here this season. But I guess you're kind of right. It's kind of difficult to separate something when there hasn't been somebody flinch yet, or it's just kind of a nerve-wracking spot to be in for a fan.
I'm with you. I mean, because these now, I don't want to say that the next kick or one of these kicks could mean everything, but it could.
Yeah, well, it could. Let's say it.
I mean, it could. It could. I mean,
no pressure.
As if you attempt one and it doesn't go in and you lose, by 2, or you could have sent it to overtime and you can, or whatever the scenario is, as you look back on it and you look at it, man, that's the reality here. And it's not fair to like point at that. That's just what people do, because there's so many other things that got you to that point, or it could have been better, or whatever. But or maybe you throw somebody out there and they bang one in, and you're like, hell yeah, man. Now we can cross that off the list. We've had somebody that's won a game or made a meaningful kick, and you can put that in your back pocket and go, he's been in the fire, and he lived to tell about it. So there's that side of it too. But yeah, it's both special team coaches probably have to be going, okay, all right, not real sure what we're going to get here. So, but I like my situation better than theirs. How about that?
made me feel a little bit better hearing about that. So thank you for bringing that up. And when we're talking about the home environment or a home advantage, it did get my wheels to turn in a little bit on maybe the defensive side of things being less affected by that type of stuff. But like your quarterback or your communication among quarterback and others, or your kicker, obviously guys that can get going on that stadium pulse and they're rattled and all of a sudden the game is gone. But
and I'll say this: if this guy has to attempt 4 field goals again, I got to tell you, I'd like your chances in a game like that.
I think things are going well.
Yeah, I'd like your chances because one, it's a win just because you're forcing them to attempt it, and then if he goes 4 for 4, great. But if you miss any of those, but the fact that you're forcing some attempts instead of allowing touchdowns, I think is the point there. So.
And we're fine too with a comfortable victory by Texas Tech, where it's only extra points involved for this rotating cast of legs. So that's an option. Would love for them to choose that as well coming up on Saturday. Chris, before we wrap up today's episode, I wanted to kick this to you that was thrown our way from a Matador mobster, and actually had this come in a couple of different ways, talking about the player defensively for Texas Tech most critical essentially to shutting down or containing all the things we've been describing this week. Rhett was one that texted it in. He offered up John Curry as his choice. What do you think about that selection, or what name might come to mind for you? First, today's episode brought to you by Mazda, and Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive, and that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. And with Mazda, your family's safety is number one, and that's why Mazda's won more 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anybody else. And Mazda offers more than safety with smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
I'm going to give you 2, neither one of which is John Curry.
Okay.
And so I hate to cop out, but they're both going to be right up the gut. It's either Lee Hunter or it's Jacob Rodriguez. The reason I say Lee Hunter is because most people feel like this is an elite offensive line. However, the weak link is thought to be the center. And I think that some of their people feel this way. Some of the analytical data would suggest this as well. And that's where you could have a major advantage right there. So if you're able to, because you can't double everybody, you can't chip and do all the things with everybody. But if Lee Hunter can wreck shop up the gut and not allow them to run in between the tackles or disrupt a lot of the things, that could really alter what Utah can or can't do or attempts to do. But at the end of the day, I really feel like this is a Jacob Rodriguez game, because whether he's asked to spy or whether he will be asked to make plays here. And I don't know how you'll employ everybody. And maybe we are unaware of the scheme and such that we're going to put this all on John F. and Curry, what he's known as inside the locker room there, and he'll be the spy. And so, I'm going to go with Jacob Rodriguez because I think he's smart. I think he can run. I think he's able to diagnose. I bet nobody has studied Utah any more than he has this week. And with what they do, whether it's traditional running game or with the QB or whatever, a lot is on his shoulders. And I like I would like my chances there, saying that because if he plays really well, I think that goes a long way in you deciding. And the easiest thing to do is on either one of these things, as we said earlier, hey, whose quarterback plays the best? Which quarterback struggled? The end, right? But if we want to dig in on defensive guys, that's what I would say there for Texas Tech. But
yeah, because it's basically who's most critical to keeping that quarterback from playing better.
That's right.
I like your options. I also like the thought of Grandma Curry just peering over the bassinet when John was a boy. Oh, my precious little John F. and Curry. What a beautiful baby. I would say that great minds think alike, and ours do as well, Chris, because you're right where I am. I'm copying off your notes. Lee Hunter was going to be my selection, but that's only the beginning of the story, because then it's all about the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, cleaning up, roaming freely, left and right, all over, doing what he does best. So I hope that turns out to be the case, but there really is no replacement for disruption right up the gut. That starts with number 2 and some of his colleagues at the law firm of Hunter Holmes and Gil Howard. So hopefully they are in full force once again on Saturday as well. And I like that recipe if you can make it happen, but clearly the other side gets to try as well to screw that up. So
yeah, because which one of these new additions, because here's what I feel pretty comfortable in saying. You have more playmakers than I think they do. And what I mean by that is more guys that can make something of nothing, more guys that can change a game, more guys that can, whether it's offense or defense. And I think you kind of know their recipe. There's a lot on Devin Dampier's shoulders. And they've got a couple of backs that I think are very worthy of could play for anybody in the Big 12. But there's a lot there. And I think Barron has got a lot of weapons that can make something of nothing and can bail you out and all the things. But so do you on defense. And that's what I'm fascinated by. Does one of those guys show up? Does one of those guys make a play that wins you this game or puts the game away? That's a lot of times where talent comes in. And even when things are looking bleak and may not be going, like you want it to, somebody makes a play because they are just better than the whatever, or they're capable of certain things. And that's really what you've been lacking over the years. Because I think that you've got a list of 10 to 12 to 14 guys that could reach up and do something special here. And so it's not all on Barron like it may be all on Dampier. And it's not all on Lee Hunter because he's got Jacob Rodriguez and vice versa. And you've got these edge guys and you've got these really good guys in the secondary, Cole Wisniewski and Bryce Pollock. That was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. You see what I'm saying? So where does it come from? It's like spin the wheel. I don't know. Pick it. But
the beautiful thing about football, they all have to work in tandem together as a group to make it as good as it can be as a unit. So I don't know. I know that it's got to start though, Chris, with some of those vets, like we started this show talking about, kind of surviving that initial wave, right? Because there's going to be a lot of emotion, and it's a conference opener and on the road. So surviving that initial wave, probably for either team, emotionally, is going to be a part of this challenge. So it'll be a lot of fun to find out how that works out. As every obviously season is a new story, and as we look back to seasons gone by, how they do this or that, it's all just keeping in mind that this is a different group of guys and a different year. So here we go. Like you said already, if you want to get where you're trying to go, you've got to be able to find success on the road. So hopefully we see that happen. And Chris, looking forward to wrapping up the week as we get into mailbag mode one more time before we're shipping you off to Salt Lake City, where many friends are waiting, I'm sure, to greet you with open arms and warm wishes.
And Salt Lake's a great city. I was shocked how small it is, honestly, because so many people live in the burbs, if you will, or the valleys, I think is what they call them. But I'm thinking Olympics, you got an NBA team. There's only like 200,000 people that live in actual Salt Lake City, which really surprised me. But it's actually nothing against Salt Lake City whatsoever. I've been twice now, I guess is right. And it's great. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be met with frowns and furrowed brows or not. I have no idea.
I hope it's only in relation to what's playing out on the scoreboard. Because who wouldn't be excited to see the big handsome coming to their town? Enjoy it, Salt Lake. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
like Hank Williams came to town or something. Chris, appreciate the time. Enjoyed it with you as always. And looking forward to the next one, man. We'll see you then.
Yeah, man. Keep hope alive. We'll talk to everybody next time.
Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the everydayers for always riding along, of course, in the Matador Mob. And hit our show notes. If you're interested in joining that crew, you'll find a link there to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.